Killing Russia's most hated man. Let's go. Let's go watch this, man. Let's go. You probably heard the name Rasputin from that song of Bonnie M. Ra ra Rasputin, Russia queen. Again. You know that song? It's a really famous song. If you don't know it, I want you to go and watch it. Listen to it. It's a really W song. I fuck with it, and I just seen Rasputin. I was like, yo, what happened to my boy? Okay, we all know because they mentioned the story that it was poisoned. But let's see the killing of Russia's most hated man. There was a man in Russia long ago. He was big and strong, and he sounded, go listen to the song, man. Let's go, killing Russia's most hated man, bro. Let's go, right.
It's just turned midnight in the Russian capital of St. Petersburg. The streets are empty, and with temperatures below freezing, most of the city has gone to sleep. But at a royal palace in the center of the city, a party is being planned. A party for just one person. The special guest is on his way and will be arriving in just a few minutes. Meanwhile, back at the palace, cakes and wine are being carefully laced with poison. The guest was headed straight for a trap.
Thanks.
That night, a gang of high society men carried out an elaborate plan to kill and dispose of Rasputin, the famous mystical healer who had become the most hated man in...
Wait, that's how Rasputin would look like? Damn! When I listened to that song, I thought Rasputin was like some jigger chat. You know those guys who you would feel like jealousy of, like you'd be like, I want to be like that guy. Like it's perfect, man. But damn, you look like homeless dude. I swear to God.
Rasputin, the famous...
Chad, does this guy look like a homeless dude in New York? I swear to God, look his eyes. I thought it was some jigger chat, some super handsome dude. And he looked like this?
Mystical healer who had
you
become the
gotta
most
be
hated
calm.
man in Russia.
You gotta be calm,
the
right?
entire thing to show you why he was killed and the play-by-play timeline of his assassination. Very few people have lived a crazier life than Grigory Yefimovich Rasputin. He went from being a poor peasant that couldn't read or write.
This is how Rasputin looked? He was big and strong. This is not a big and strong dude.
To being a godlike saint, surrounded by royalty and power. But to really understand why he became so hated, we need to go back to the beginning.
Who liked that guy?
Rasputin grew up in a small farming village in Siberia and lived a pretty normal life. Worked on the farm, got married, and had kids. But at the age of 28, something changed in Rasputin's life. Religion took over, and suddenly he left his town and family behind to go on a pilgrimage. Wandering from town to town, he started developing a small circle of followers who prayed with him and listened to him preach. Everywhere he went, priests and villagers were captivated by his charisma and his unique ability to heal people. Rasputin continued walking all across Russia, claiming to heal people's illnesses, and by 1905, he had earned a godlike reputation. This reputation finally led him all the way to the top, when the Empress of Russia asked him to heal her son, who had been suffering from hemophilia. Despite his serious condition, Rasputin took away his medication, began praying for him, and miraculously, he got better. Whatever he had done, it earned him the trust from the most powerful woman in the country, and soon, the Empress became close friends with Rasputin, often depending on him for his wise advice. In just a handful of years, Rasputin's holy reputation had taken him from the bottom all the way to the top. But his divine, supernatural image had a dark side. Rasputin was an alcoholic, one that partied and had constant affairs with his followers. In 1915, police set up a secret surveillance team and started following his day-to-day activities. On the 19th of February, Rasputin was seen coming out of a building with two ladies. He never returned home until 3 in the morning. On the 10th of March, the police followed him through the city and saw him meeting up with a prostitute. On the 12th of May, Rasputin brought a different prostitute back to his flat and locked her in a room until she was later set free by a servant. Almost every other day, Rasputin was seen coming home with prostitutes and his own female followers, having drunken parties and singing from his apartment. Despite his wild life, he remained close friends with the Empress.
Hey bro, I still cannot process. This is what Rasputin looked like. I can't lie.
An immense amount of power. So much so that Rasputin started making his own political decisions, appointing new ministers and giving advice on the war. The public was turning on Rasputin. To many, the Tsar and the Empress had become puppets, being controlled by the evil and corrupt Rasputin. At the time, the media wasn't allowed to report on this, but as things got more and more tense, newspapers were willingly paying censorship fines just to write about Rasputin's influence over Russia. All of this anger finally came out in November 1916, when politician Vladimir Purishkevich was giving a speech at the Russian parliament.
I thought it was Vladimir Putin.
Зло исходит от темных сил, во главе которых стоит Распутин. Уже несколько ночей я не могу сомкнуть глаз, представляя себе эти письма и послания, которые этот безграмотный мужик пишет императрице. Царь больше не управляет. Он сдался. Российская империя рушится. Теперь все распоряжения исходят от Распутина. Пока он жив, мы не сможем победить.
Although many across the country felt the same way, no one had expressed their hatred of Rasputin so openly until now. In the audience that day was Felix Yusupov. Despite being part of the royal family himself, he despised everything Rasputin stood for. To him, Rasputin was the devil, and he had to be taken out in order to save
This guy was a fucking devil, I swear to God.
To him, Rasputin was the devil, and he had to be taken out in order to save Russia. And so, he called Purishkevich.
Ваша речь не принесет желаемых результатов.
Ну что ж, что можно сделать?
Избавиться от Распутина.
А кто это сделает?
В России есть люди, которые это сделают. И вы
Everyone Russia will do it. And I told me to one of them. Damn.
With that message, it was clear that both men were on the same page. And just a week later, they met on board Purishkevich's train, which was parked at a nearby train station. Yusupov had brought along Grand Duke Dmitry Pavlovich, the Tsar's cousin, Dr. Lazarevert, an old military friend, and Lieutenant Sergei Sukhotin.
Why it took them a long time, though?
5 men came up with the grand plan to lure
I believe if I had a plan to unalive somebody, I would not spend months preparing that shit. I would do it like this. People are slow, man. I'll be fast. I'm trolling. I can never kill anybody. Facts. We gotta go to law, to court, hire lawyers. That's what I'm gonna do, for sure.
In and kill him. Here's how they planned to do it. On the chosen night, the gang would meet at Yusupov's palace in the center of the city. At precisely 1 a.m., Yusupov would go to pick up Rasputin, driven by Dr. L, who would be dressed as a chauffeur. When they got back to the palace, Dr. L would park close to the entrance in such a way that would hide Rasputin from the street. They knew that Rasputin had 3 security agencies protecting him, so it was likely that spies would be keeping an eye on his every move. Once inside the palace, Dr. L would join the rest of the gang in a room upstairs, while Yusupov and Rasputin would go down to the basement, which the gang had turned into a lavish dining room. Here, the thick concrete walls would stop any screams or gunshots from being heard outside the palace.
Damn.
During the party, Yusupov would offer Rasputin various cakes and wines that had been laced with powerful cyanide poison. And if all went well, Rasputin would be dead.
So chef, what you guys do know cyanide? When you eat cyanide, you just die straight away. Like, straight away. You're not gonna last 30 minutes with cyanide inside of your body, bro. For sure. Unless you drink milk. So whenever you see somebody getting poisoned with cyanide, the best thing you can ever give to them, this is a life tip to y'all, give them milk. They're gonna throw out. And when they throw out, they're gonna be good, for sure.
Dead in just 15 minutes. To get rid of any evidence, the gang would then drive to Purishkevich's train, burn Rasputin's clothes, and park the car on the cargo wagon, ready to leave St. Petersburg later that night. The gang would then walk through the city to another car and drive back to the crime scene. Finally, they would wrap up Rasputin's body, drive to a nearby bridge, and throw him into the icy river, hopefully never to be seen again. But all of this would
Why would you kill somebody and you throw them in a river? You know, at some point they're gonna be found.
Happen if Rasputin agreed to come to the party in the first place. They needed a way to lure him in.
Damn, bro, this guy was the devil.
Yusupov started faking chest pains and went to Rasputin for his healing powers. Throughout the month, the two met up several times, and Yusupov managed to become Rasputin's friend. With every meeting, Rasputin always asked to meet Yusupov's wife, 21-year-old Irina. Yusupov was never going to let Rasputin anywhere near his wife, but it did give him an idea. He told Rasputin that Irina would be throwing a party with her friends on the 29th.
Damn.
And invited Rasputin to come and meet her. Rasputin, being the ultimate ladies' man, couldn't resist. The plan was set.
Yeah, and that song that also said he was a ladies' man. Like, he had all the girls around him, and all the girls wanted him. That's what they say in the song. We're gonna listen to the song after this, so you guys are gonna listen and you're gonna compare to the story we just heard, for sure.
But with so many moving parts, the gang needed a way to properly organize and manage
Okay, what did they prepare?
Luckily today, we have Odoo, an all-in-one management software that gives entrepreneurs the tools to simplify the day-to-day management of
the way they
business.
snag this shit
What
in.
makes Odoo really powerful.
We gotta
is that
watch
all
this
the apps
ad, I
are
swear to God.
interconnected, so you don't have to waste time juggling external tools or duplicating data. Odoo has a range of tailor-made apps to help with sales,
the way they sneak the shit in was so
accounting,
good.
project management, website creation, human
Everybody
resources,
go to all to show them love.
Odoo's accounting app synchronizes with
Nah,
your bank.
psych, let's go. It's fucking getting, nigga.
The night of and have access to all the
Let's get it,
applications
man.
at an affordable subscription. The night of the assassination had arrived. It was a particularly cold evening, and by 11 p.m. the streets were empty. It was time to start the party. Purishkevich left his train at 11:15.
Rasputin,
At 11:50, 20 minutes later than had been planned, Dr. L pulled up beside him.
Опять опаздываете.
Извини, я чинил колесо, оно лопнуло по дороге сюда.
Purishkevich got in, and together they drove to the Yusupov Palace. According to their plan, the gates at the side entrance were to be open at a specific time. But by the time they arrived, the gates were closed. To avoid raising any suspicion, they kept driving and slowly lapped back around a few minutes later. But the gates were still closed.
What's up?
Purishkevich got out and entered the main entrance by foot, while Dr. L drove around until the gates were finally opened. They met the three other men in the dining room, where a large table was filled with pink cakes and other delights. Rasputin had told Yusupov that his spies didn't leave his apartment until just after midnight, so the gang had some time to kill before picking him up. Dr. L took this opportunity to start separating the cakes and grating the powerful cyanide poison into the cream layers. Then he poured several glasses of red wine and laced them too. Meanwhile, back at his apartment, Rasputin was getting ready for the party. For him, it was going to be another good night. Although he agreed not to tell anyone where he was going that night, he couldn't keep it in and ended up telling his daughter and his secretary. Back at the palace, the gang were adding the final touches to the party. In order to make it seem like the party guests had just moved upstairs, they placed left-behind bits of cake and drinks on the table and began playing music on the gramophone. With everything in place, Yusupov and Dr. L left to go and pick up Rasputin at around 12:15. 45 minutes later, the gang heard a car pulling into the palace. Yusupov and Rasputin entered the dining room, while Dr. L joined the rest of the gang upstairs. So far, everything was running on time. And when the deed was done,
this genuinely looks like how the mafia used to kill people back in the days. It will be a setup like this. You'd go somewhere, think it's a party, think it's a meeting, and when you go there, that's when you get shot. Damn. It's crazy.
the gang would make their way downstairs to hopefully find
Mafia
their enemy
style.
dead on the floor.
Probably the mafia got this style of killing people like from these guys, bro. I swear to God.
For the next half an hour, the gang stood at the top of the staircase, trying to listen in to the muffled conversation. Then Yusupov ran upstairs to tell them that Rasputin was not eating or drinking anything.
Господа, все идет не так. Эта тварь не ест и не пьет.
Beast do not eat or drink.
Что нам делать?
What can we do?
Потерпите.
Ah,
Вернитесь
patience,
и
go back
попробуйте
again.
снова. Но ни на минуту не оставляйте его
But don't
одного.
even, not even for a minute.
Yusupov returned to the basement, and after another half an hour, the gang heard 2 corks being popped and the chinking of glasses. It seemed like it was only a matter of time now. But another 30 minutes went by, and the conversation didn't stop. Yusupov rushed upstairs for a second time.
Это
It's impossible.
невозможно. Он выпил 2 бокала вина,
Drunk glasses of wine.
съел несколько кусков
And then
пирога.
he posalized of cake.
Как видите, ничего
Yeah,
не
nothing
произошло. Абсолютно ничего. И хуже всего, он начинает...
Chad, the way Russians speak, that shit is so funny, I swear to God. It made me remember that game of Hitman. Yeah, the one we used to say like this.
Шло абсолютно ничего.
Абсолютно.
И хуже всего, он начинает спрашивать, когда же встретиться с Ириной.
Возвращайтесь. Яд обязательно сработает. Нужно лишь немного времени.
Yusupov rejoined his guest and continued to fake pleasant conversation. But with every glass of wine, Rasputin was becoming more impatient, and it seemed like his supernatural powers were somehow overcoming the poison. After another half an hour of constant drinking,
Damn.
Yusupov ran
Chad,
upstairs.
as I told you, man, cyanide can kill you in only 30 minutes. And this guy went for 1 hour and a half. Nigga's still alive. That's how you know, oh my God, the poison might not work. The poison might be fake. They need to say everything from China was fake. And they say, if you believe everything is fake, try their poison. And I swear to God, this poison, they probably got it from China, I swear to God. How can you get cyanide in 30 minutes you're not dead, you're still alive? You got that shit from China, it's fake, bro. You got a lowest quality. And I heard there's some other guy who say this, though. There's never been a poison which is few. Like whatever poison you take, as long as poison is killing you.
And told the gang that the poison simply wasn't working.
Это безнадежно.
This is hopeless.
Может быть, мы покончим с ним в другой день.
You can finish him off another day.
Никогда.
Never.
Если он уйдет
If
сегодня,
he gets away
он
today,
уйдет
he
навсегда.
will get away forever.
Мы должны
You
покончить
have
с
to
этим
finish this
сегодня
tonight.
ночью. А что, если я
But if I shoot
застрелю
him?
его? Быстрее.
It will be quicker and simpler.
Хорошая мысль.
Good idea.
Сейчас не важно, кто его
It's not
убьет.
about killing.
Важно лишь одно.
The only way
Он
that he's
должен
killed without
быть мертв. Сегодня.
Tonight.
Во что бы то ни стало.
Without hesitation, Yusupov picked up his pistol and returned to the basement. It didn't take long until the gang heard a loud bang and a body hitting the floor. They rushed downstairs to finally see their enemy lying on the floor. His body was still twitching and he let out a few weak breaths, but they were sure that Rasputin was finally dead. Without wasting any more time, they turned off the lights and continued following the plan. 3 of the men made their way to Purishkevich's train to start burning the evidence. Since Lieutenant S looked the most like Rasputin, he was wearing his coat. That way, any spies that were following them might think Rasputin was inside the car. Back at the palace, Yusupov and Purishkevich were trying to process what they had just done. It had taken them longer than expected, but their plan was almost over. But all of a sudden, they heard footsteps coming from downstairs and a door opening. To their amazement, the man they thought was dead was now staggering through the courtyard and headed straight for the exit.
Стреляй! Стреляй в него!
Purishkevich grabbed his pistol and chased Rasputin into the courtyard. Just as he was reaching the gate, 2 bullets fired out from Purishkevich's gun, but both missed. 2 people were walking by when Purishkevich began firing and quickly ran off. No matter how hard they tried, it seemed like Rasputin really was invincible. But Purishkevich let out 2 more shots, which finally struck Rasputin in the back, finishing him off. It was now well after 3 in the morning, and the plan had taken a chaotic turn.
Damn.
Rasputin was now lying dead at the gates of the palace, in plain sight for anyone in the street to see. Purishkevich ran back inside and came across 2 soldiers protecting the palace. He told them what had happened, and to his relief, they were glad that someone had finally killed Rasputin. The soldiers brought Rasputin's body back inside and wrapped it up in a curtain. Meanwhile, Yusupov was going crazy in another room. As all of this was happening, a policeman came to the palace and started questioning Purishkevich about the gunshots.
Слушай, брат, ты любишь нашего святого государя и Россию?
Разумеется, Ваше Величество.
Знаешь, кто главный враг России?
Безусловно, Григорий Распутин.
Так вот, мы только что его убили. Его больше нет. Если кто-то будет спрашивать, ты ничего не видел и ничего не знаешь.
You and I know nothing.
Послушайте, Ваше Величество, если спросят, а я не под присягой, я ничего не скажу.
And just like that, the police officer was let go. The rest of the gang returned 5 minutes later, still carrying Rasputin's clothes. As it turned out, the stove on board the train was too small, and Rasputin's coat and shoes didn't fit inside. Nonetheless, the gang had no time to waste, and so they put Rasputin's wrapped-up body into the back of the car and hit the road. To avoid suspicion, they drove slowly, eventually leaving the city and arriving at the Petrovsky Bridge. Without wasting any more time, they tied some weights to his body and threw him into a hole in the ice, along with his coat and his shoes. It was now 5 in the morning, and the gang finally arrived.
So the question is one, why did not leave the country? Me, I believe if you do that kind of crime, you should just straight up leave the country, my guy. I don't know. Why did they stay?
Back to the palace, only to find that they had left behind Rasputin's other shoe and bloodstains all over the courtyard. It was simply too late. All the men went back to their homes. Whatever happened next was up to fate. Just 2 days later, blood was discovered on the Petrovsky Bridge, and a boot was found sticking out of the ice. Police began searching down the river and quickly came across Rasputin's body, frozen under the ice. There was no hiding who did it. The 5 men had done very little to cover up their crime. Everyone knew where Rasputin was that night. Despite this, the Tsar thought that arresting any of them might heighten the already tense political scene going on throughout Russia. Pavlovich, Dr. L, and Lieutenant S eventually left Russia. Purishkevich stayed in Russia, but
yeah, that was smart, bro. Those three were smart. Can never stay in that shit. That's what I would do. I would just leave before, just at night.
Might heighten the already tense political scene going on throughout Russia. Pavlovich, Dr. L, and Lieutenant S eventually left Russia. Purishkevich stayed in Russia but died just a few years later. Yusupov, the man behind the whole thing, was exiled and spent the rest of his life in France with his wife Irina.
Prince, au soir de votre vie.
With his wife behind the whole thing.
So this is the man.
Was exiled and spent
this when he was old.
The rest of his life in France with his wife Irina.
Prince.
That is him now, Chad. Damn, 1967. Chad, that was good though.
Au soir de votre vie.
Chad, this was the beautiful woman. Look how she look now, bro. She was old. Yeah, this is when people, you know, they be going crazy of how good they're looking now. And you'll be old. All these old people, they also look nice. They also look young. So at some point, same with you, bro. You also be old and crazy type shit.
Lorsque vous repensez à Rasputin, quel sentiment éprouvez-vous à son égard? Le dégoût.
Disgust.
Dans des circonstances identiques. Si vous aviez à prendre une décision identique, referiez-vous ce que vous avez fait?
Would you do it again?
Oui.
Damn. Chad, let me make you hear that song. I didn't know Rasputin looked like that, bro. Yeah, Rasputin by Bonnie M. This is the song. This is a really dope song, man. I fucking love this song. There was a man in Russia long ago. Imagine giving somebody poison and they drink it. And they'd be like, oh man, I feel so fine. You'd be like, yo, did I do nothing? Did I do nothing? Yo, anyway, we headed out, bro. We headed out. This was a really dope shit. We already done it for 1 hour. It was fun. It was dope. It was lit. Yeah, the grind keeps going, man. The grind keeps going. We don't stop. We keep going, man. For sure. We out. I'm out. It was nice. Yo, shout out to everybody, man. Shout out to Scotter, man. W, man.